Hello and welcome back to Webcast News. I'm your host as always, James Etheridge, and in today's video, three brothers are sentenced to at least 23 years in jail after using WWE and UFC inspired moves to kill a woman, and the Tour de France staged yesterday ended in a very strange way. But firstly, the update on the UK government reshuffle. So as you will most likely already know, Theresa May is the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And with a new Prime Minister normally comes big changes in the cabinet, and that is what has happened in just the first day. Theresa May was already the Home Secretary, so with her move up to Prime Minister there had to be a new Home Secretary, and Theresa May has named Amber Rudd as her new Home Secretary. But the main talking point coming out of the changes so far is the new Foreign Secretary, which is Boris Johnson. It's like we actually want to fall out with the world as quickly as possible. If we want out the European Union, that's the way to do it. I say European Union. He's already made offensive comments about Africans back in 2002, which he apologised for 6 years later because he was running for mayor and those comments were found. And he's also offended the Syrian president, the Turkish president, he's offended Barack Obama, although does that matter so much because he's actually leaving soon, so that one not so bad hopefully. But a lot of other countries have had a good laugh at Boris Johnson being appointed Foreign Secretary, and some other countries have gone, oh no, including the UK, who went, oh no. Anyway, back to the actual changes. Boris Johnson replaces Philip Hammond as Foreign Secretary because Philip Hammond has been named the new Chancellor of the Exchequer, replacing George Osborne, who has been demoted to the backbenches. Michael Gove has also been removed as Justice Secretary, so he will join George Osborne in the backbenches of the Conservative Party. However, the controversial Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt remains in post, which is most likely going to anger a lot of junior doctors and doctors on the NHS, because Jeremy Hunt isn't a big fan. And then Andrea Leadsom, who is the final runner against Theresa May before pulling out on Monday, has become the Environment Secretary. Does that mean there was something in place already before Andrea Leadsom pulled out? Possibly. But also one of the other big changes Theresa May has made is that she has cut the Climate Change Department, which is another controversial move, with climate change being such a huge topic. To get rid of the entire department is a big move. But those are most of the major changes so far. If there are any more big changes, obviously I will speak about them on here. And then in some people be completely crazy news, as mentioned in the beginning, three brothers have been arrested and sentenced to at least 23 years in jail, but what will most likely and hopefully be life imprisonment after killing a 54-year-old woman by using WWE and UFC inspired moves on her. This was done by Scott, Adam and Joshua Knight, who are 23, 20 and 19 years old respectively. The three brothers and their mother Elaine Morley had been taken in by Delith Andrews after the brothers and mother became homeless. So Delith Andrews had shown nothing but kindness to them, but what they did was strip her house down, sell some of her possessions in order to buy drugs. And possibly something I should have mentioned along with the top part of the story is that the three brothers at the time were on a legal high called spice. But from reading into what else they did to Miss Andrews, I don't think the drugs really mattered. I think they're just terrible people. And a neighbour to Miss Andrews said that the brothers and the mother were aggressive and intimidating to Miss Andrews. Then in November 2015, the three brothers got high on spice. I haven't got a clue what that is, but apparently it's a high. There are so many of them, everyone loses track. They then trapped Miss Andrews in her room and for 7 hours basically tortured her by doing WWE and UFC inspired moves, although WWE have put out a statement, and in that they basically said the moves that they say they used aren't even WWE moves. They've not come out and said, you know, we say not to do the moves. They've come out and said, oh no, they're not our moves. That seems a bit dickish. But back to the story. Eventually emergency services were called, and once they got to the home, they found Miss Andrews injured in her bed, complaining that the brothers had been jumping all over her. Sadly, she suffered a broken back and actually died of her injuries. The brothers were then arrested and taken to Canterbury Crown Court. Yes, Canterbury as in England. A drug story wasn't in America. That's like a new thing. And yesterday they were finally sentenced by Judge Adele Williams, who told the brothers, "You treated Delith Andrews with the utmost cruelty and callousness and terrorised her. What you did was slow torture over many hours." And then also went on to actually talk about the mother as well. "Your mother must bear responsibility in a moral sense, if not a legal one, for her own cruelty, her own dishonesty. She also failed to summon help for many hours on that night." So whilst Elaine Morley goes free, morally, a lot of trouble, but again, she goes free. So let me know in the comment section down below, do you think the mother should also be punished for not contacting emergency services quickly enough and being dishonest? Or is it you would protect your sons in this kind of a scenario? Let me know in the comment section down below. And then finally for today, actually a little bit of info on the Tour de France, which I didn't think I'd be talking about on this channel, to be honest. But something strange happened in yesterday's stage. The riders were going up the famed Mont Ventoux to end the stage yesterday. And the crowds actually got so severe and so close to the riders that at one point up the mountain, the group of Richie Porte, Bokim Olema and Brit Chris Froome, who was in the yellow jersey at the time, ended up crashing because a motorbike had to stop to avoid the crowd, and Richie Porte, an Australian rider, ran into the back of the bike, which also took out Dutchman Bokim Olema and Brit Chris Froome. Now Olema actually got away with it because he was at the back of the group, he got no damage to his bike and he carried on. However, Richie Porte and Chris Froome both had damage to their bikes. Richie Porte just waited for a new bike. But the entertaining part of this was Chris Froome running up a mountain towards the finish. He eventually got given a new bike, but that was just not the right size for him at all. And then the Team Sky car finally got up to him, gave him a new bike, and he finished the stage. And when the timings actually came in, he was down in 6th place and he'd lost the yellow jersey, but the times were amended, so he and Porte both got the same time as Mollema did, and that's how it ended. So Froome is back in the yellow jersey. And the final bit for this, Team Sky coach Sir Dave Brailsford then had a little bit of fun with it, saying that Chris Froome should probably go and run the Paris Marathon after that. So there you go, a little bit of humour to end it, but also not great. And so that is it for this video. If you have liked it, make sure you go and hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel for more news content in the future. You can also follow Webcast News on social media. The Twitter and the Facebook page will be on the screen right now, so you can go and check those out. There'll also be a link in the description to those as well. And also make sure you go and check out the other video I've done today where I talk about the main news story with the Nice terror attacks. And also if you do go and check that one out, make sure you share that video out as well so that we can get support behind the people of Nice. And the last thing to say is, thanks for watching.